Umuulit na yan eh.
Okay.
Mute. Audio mo.
Hi, good evening, everybody. It's August 6, 2020. Welcome back to Poste Podcast. Hi, Kalay.
Hi, Van. Good evening. So,
Good evening.
ano bang nangyayari?
We are just waiting actually for Sir Pakoy because he is experiencing a little bit of technical problems on his end. But we're going to continue with the show. Andiyan naman si Sir Pakoy. But tonight is another exciting Thursday night for all of us. I am very excited for tonight, Kalay, di ba?
Yeah, you are. Actually, yung topic na to, si Van talaga yung pumili. I mean, pinapost ko siya, tapos siya yung nag-push. Push, ganyan. So talaga yung super invested dito. So, parang, please, Sir Pakoy. Okay.
No, kasi it was actually you who brought up the idea. You
Yeah.
said na you have someone that you can invite for this topic, and ako naman being someone who's invested for this topic. So ako talaga, let's go. Okay, let's give them a brief of what we're gonna be talking about tonight. So you know, the heat of the pandemic, Kalay, as we all know, actually forced a lot of people to stay home, and parang it brought out a lot of parang people's hobbies to the surface and to try out new stuff, diba? And
Yeah.
ang dami from our friends who became a chef, parang a
Yeah,
lot
ang
of them
daming
also
naging,
turned into, diba?
ang
And a
daming
lot
naging
of them also,
crafty,
mm
ang daming naging
and
karpentero bigla, ganyan.
and one of the things also that became popular or nagbecome na parang naging trend with this parang with the duration of the lockdown is taking care of indoor plants, 'di ba? Meron pang term na nabuo which is Plantito and Plantita,
Mm-hmm.
'di ba?
Very, very in
And so
yan.
that
The new trend. That's a new trend now. I mean, yung mga plant mama and plant papa pa, they call
plant papa
themselves plant parents. So, kung dati may fur
plant
parents at fur baby, ngayon may plant parents na. Yeah, that's a new thing
yes.
now.
And it's actually a good hobby. I mean, if you're going to have like something to do while you are at home, then it's better to, turn your hobby or turn into nature, diba? And especially now that we are back on MECQ, a lot of places other than Manila are back in MECQ right now, and it's parang it's a nice thing to have something to do while we are at home, diba?
Yeah, super. Kaya nga, alam mo si mama nga, Kaya nga sabi ko nung nag-start nung naisip ko yung topic na 'to,
Yep.
ang main na naisip ko, unang-unang naisip ko nanay ko. Kasi all throughout the pandemic, nakadalawang garden na siya, yung harap namin, tsaka yung likod namin. So yung harap, flower garden niya. Yung likod, vegetable garden niya. Saan ka pa? May side pa ha, in process.
Yes. Pero the thing is, this whole plantito or plantita thing, although the term is a little bit new, but actually the hobby is parang hindi naman na ito bago eh. I actually started taking care of plants last year pa, and when I started, a lot of people are actually into it na. Parang it
Mm-mm.
became like a trend lang when COVID-19 happened and everyone was forced to stay home. Siguro dahil a lot of people saw this on social media, di ba, ang daming tao nagpo-post ng mga hobbies nila, and then when people saw parang this hobby that everybody does, parang ang daming naging interesado, di ba?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, yeah. So, so without
Yes.
further ado, I think.
So yeah, so as we have been talking about, we have been talking, our topic for tonight is about indoor plant care and how to incorporate these plants in our design. And to help us with our discussion, we have our guest who believe an expert to this, at nakikita niyo na siya sa screen niyo, di ba?
Mm-mm.
All right. Well, our guest for tonight is a landscape architect. He graduated as a cum laude from University of the Philippines and also took up his executive master of business administration in Asian Institute of Management. He is also he also worked as a landscape architect and project architect for Ayala Land Incorporated and chief landscape architect for Clark Design Studio. He is also the CEO for Clarkscapes Landscape Construction, and recently he founded parang a new venture which is Balcony and Gardens. And so we are very lucky to have with us tonight to help us discover the plantitos and plantitas in us. Let's welcome, folks, landscape architect Vincent Lim. Hi, Architect Vince.
Hi, Architect
Hi.
Vince.
Hi, can
Sorry,
you guys,
I
can
am
you
not
guys
so used to calling. Yeah, I can hear you. We can hear you. So, do you hear us clearly?
Good evening, good evening. Thank you for
Good
having me
evening.
here. It's my first time to do a podcast, so very
Kami
excited.
din eh. Kami din.
Ano pa lang
This is
namin to? Fifth run,
fifth
diba?
episode.
This is the
Fifth run.
fifth run for Poste podcast. So, parang nung una, parang ano lang to. Chika-chika lang. Uy, gawa tayo
Chika-chika.
podcast. So, ang history
Okay.
lang ng Poste podcast. Sir Pacoy does it already. Tapos, syempre, nag-die down, ganyan. Kasi na-busy din siya. Tapos, eventually, nung na-bring up yung idea na, why don't we do podcast ulit? Kasi nga, di ba, parang lahat naman nasa bahay and everyone is parang wala namang gagawin other than use the internet. So, might as well, di ba? Might as well use it.
Okay.
So once again, Architect Vince, welcome to Poste Podcast. This is in cooperation with UAP Baroswain, ang aming chapter ni Kalay as well as si Sir Pacoy. Hinintay pa din natin si Sir Pacoy pero maya-maya nandiyan na rin
Yeah.
siya.
Sorry, Vince, sorry kasi nagkakaroon lang kami ng technical difficulty ngayon. Biglang nag-update yung Chrome at Google ni Sir Pacoy. So,
Ganyan
sa lahat
talaga
ng
kapag
oras
live.
ngayon,
Yeah, it's
kaya
always fun.
nga eh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Vince, interviewin muna natin si Vince about his life, his work, and a lot more. So,
How are you
habang
this
hinihintay natin si
MECQ, Architect Vince?
We're busy. We still have a lot of corporate work, and you know that who my clients are. That of course we can't say who our
Yes.
clients, but we have a lot of corporate clients. We're very thankful that um, we stood by each other during this
Mm-hmm.
difficult time, and then we're also busy recently because of Balcony Garden. So I'm wearing it now.
Yes.
Um, and we're busy because siyempre, a lot of people are inquiring about plants, and
Mm-hmm.
so for us, while we're used to selling plants by bulk for our projects in construction, it's only now that we're getting used to doing it on a retail basis, no, like by isa-isa.
Basis. Yes.
So we're learning. We're very excited. We're learning each day. We're learning something new. Each client has teaches us something new. So we're very excited and
Mm-hmm.
thankful for that. And of course, during this time, we just want to be thankful. Or we feel that we just need to be thankful for being busy in the first place. Perhaps something so much. Perhaps for having something that really keeps us passionate and excited
Yes.
on a retail basis.
Yeah, very,
And
very
having
fun.
so many projects is actually a good problem.
Happy
Mas mabuti
problem
ng
So,
maraming
yan.
projects, di ba?
kailangan mo kasi so many projects, baka hindi nakabigyan ng projects din. Kailangan ko
Meron
ng
yan.
project.
So,
Yeah.
you are a certified Plantito, Architect Vince.
Yeah, of course. I mean, like, it's my core. I've been plants is really part of my profession ever since.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't really start as of course I took the profession. I took up the course landscape architecture.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I was really more of a designer. You know, I
Uh-oh.
was more of a space designer. I was more of an architect rather than a plant enthusiast. But of course, as you go as I went along with my profession, with recent years of like trying and testing different plants, of parang you kind of
Mm-hmm.
I made a relationship with plants already. Parang, so parang it just became an organic part of my life. So, I probably will be that I'll really be dealing with plants. So yeah, yeah. So certified
Certified.
in that sense. And
Certified Plantito talaga yan.
Certified.
nag-level up lang because kami talagang legit. Yung iba, kunwari lang.
Grabe sa legit.
Aray.
Ay, sorry, baka mag-bash kayo. Ako ba tayo dito? No, yeah. I mean, like, but of course, in recent months, it's Plantito, the term Plantito is really just, it's mostly for
Parang,
people who became enthusiastic in having plants in their homes
mm-mm.
or like something, having plants close to them, whether it's at work
Yes.
and their work from home desk setups or at home.
Yes.
So yeah, so in that sense,
And
I am one of them, and yeah, level up lang. Yeah,
Level up lang talaga.
And like I said nga kanina hindi naman na ito bago eh. Ang dami naman ng into indoor plants noon pa eh. Parang
yeah.
ngayon lang naging trend dahil siguro wala tayong ibang magawa, wala tayong ma-post sa social media, wala tayong ma-post sa Facebook. So kung ano yung hobby natin while on lockdown, yun ang i-post natin, di ba?
That's right. And I think also people know the value of plants. You know, having plants around very therapeutic in many ways.
Pero go ahead.
No, yeah, it's very very therapeutic. Just of course we heard studies that having plants help clean the air, purify the air in your room. The texture itself, like touching plants, gives a different kind of benefit as well. Seeing greens is something refreshing as well.
Yes.
So because maybe in the past few months, people are a bit, maybe of course, anxious, sometimes worried, and having plants, I think, in many ways, are
It's therapeutic.
in giving a not just therapeutic, and it really gives you a sense of comfort. So I think that's why more and more people are into it. Yes, they know that it's a social media trend now, but more than that, I think in its truest sense, people are very much aware of the benefits they get.
Yes.
So yeah, so that's
Yeah,
why we
lalo
really
na ngayon, di ba?
plants, and we are happy that a lot of people now want to take care of plants. I mean, before people would just walk by plants and then okay, you have a plant there, that's it. But now, okay, people are more and more people are becoming knowledgeable how to take care of plants, and we like that. Yeah. So,
And actually, that's the reason why we really wanted to have this topic as a discussion for one of the episodes of the podcast. So ito na nga, and it's happening now. Pero what I want to know right now, Architect Vince, is I have been like, I got into indoor plants last year, medyo konti lang naman. Pero I've always wondered, What is the difference ba with house plants or indoor plants, and with these plants and the other plants that we can see in the backyard?
Well, they're basically the same and on many levels. There
Mm-hmm.
are, there's a debate where people are saying that are claiming, there are even studies saying that essentially any plant can be acclimatized to be an indoor plant.
Mm-hmm.
But of course,
Okay.
indoor has a lot of it can be in many different forms. It can be indoor, but there's so much light, such as a greenhouse.
Mm-hmm.
There can be an indoor where you are in a condo, but you have very, very little light. So it's maraming permutations yan. But essentially, to me, indoor plants are really your tropical plants. Yung malalaking
Tropical. Okay.
tropical. When you say tropical, again, it's another broad topic.
Mm-hmm.
But these are the plants that are very um, there's a certain texture to their leaves. Medyo may certain kapal yan. Mararamdaman niya yan.
Yes. Yes. Oh.
So, and normally, the plants that are used for indoors, that are good for indoors, if I may say, are the plants you'd see maybe in the forest or maybe even outside your homes, but these are the plants that are
Mm-hmm.
under the shade,
Under the
right?
shade. Yes.
Yes. So basically, wala naman indoor nung mga unang panahon, di ba? Nung sabi ko, hindi naman uso yung, di ba? Hindi naman uso yung indoor plant. No? Of course, they do it for decoration, but it's essentially an outdoor and eventually just evolved into some decorative pieces. And then now it's really parang an essential part of homes and even spaces now just because of how they contribute to the well-being of the users of the space.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
And
just to go
yun,
back to,
kasi
yeah.
looking back parang several years ago before this whole indoor plants become a thing, ang talagang nakikita ko na halaman sa loob ng bahay are the ones that have like large leaves, 'di ba? Parang yung bagay sa mga boho design, and then lately or siguro parang few years back na lang naman nauso yung mga indoor plants that we know right now. Pero back then, ang napapansin ko talaga are the ones with big leaves.
Yes, yes. Yeah, so ganun siya talaga. So there. I mean, that's basically how the indoor and outdoor is. But essentially, they can also be all indoor plants are can also
Mm.
be outdoor, but in the proper condition, uh,
Condition.
proper environment. If they have a pothos, for example, which is one of the more common indoor plants, they thrive very well indoors, but outside,
Mm.
hindi naman pwedeng
Pwede din,
pusan.
'di ba?
Pwede siya, pero hindi siya pwedeng pusan. So, kailangan doon siya sa medyo nakakatanggap ng shade. So, things like that.
Tama.
Yeah.
And speaking of plants, nabanggit mo na si Pothos. If I am interested in becoming a plantito, alright,
Hmm.
yung sa mga audience natin na nanonood right now, what are the good parang starter plants that I can get if I want to start with this, if I want to start this whole plantito thing then? Kasi nabanggit mo na si Pothos eh. And actually, I have a story with Pothos kasi nabanggit mo na pwede siyang indoor and outdoor. Every time hindi ko alam kung napapansin nyo, and nakwento ko na ata to Kalay in one of our episodes, that this mall in Valenzuela na you can see along NLEX, there is this photos there na sobrang laki nung dahon niya, na parang 3 feet na ata. So anyway, I mean, going back to my question, ano ba ang magandang mga halaman to start with?
Well, maybe I think we should start first with like how do you start your plant journey? Maybe.
Mm.
Well, first you have to start with a few plants.
Okay.
What I really advise that you don't go plant shopping in one go na marami ka agad.
Mm.
If you're
That was my mistake before.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. But on our end, even us, we're landscape architects. We're used to outside, and it's only recently that we were really deliberate in training ourselves for what plants thrive indoors because our clients always ask for recommendations. No? So when you're a newbie, when you entirely have no idea of how to start your plant care journey, I guess start with one or two. That's about it. Parang don't even go about furnishing your whole condo or your whole house agad-agad ng indoor plants because
In their
for whatever you're buying, not really for all you know, but definitely if you're buying different varieties, they have different habits. Ang
yes.
water mo ng photos is different from water mo ng snake plant. Snake plant is something that will thrive in dry
Mhm.
places. So it's really more getting the groove of it. Parang kumbaga it's a slow burn, no?
Okay.
Kailangan muna masanay ka just to get into the rhythm of okay, every now and then you have something to um, to water or every now and then may kailangan
Mm.
ka labas para maarawan. So yan yung level 1.
Yes.
Level 1 is like, okay, started in 1. And then ano yung mga basic? So before we go to the basic, like what would be a good starter plant? A good starter plant for me, of course, is pothos.
Mm-hmm.
Pothos, actually that family, that marble pothos, the devil's ivy, that family, now the full family of yung mga parang crawling plants na to, no?
Mm-hmm.
Um, just because you see them like thriving easily anywhere, right? So
Yes.
for me, they're like super easy plant to take care of. Then siyempre, I took down some notes because medyo marami akong iniisip so baka makalimutan ko. For the snake plant, we know and we
Snake plant talaga ang pinaka-popular for
adopt,
ano, 'di ba? For
yeah,
starters.
yeah, and you've seen a lot of infographics or publications saying that it really helps purify the air, right?
Mhm.
So and just because these snake plant really thrives well on dry places. Actually, they're really good for xeriscaping. Like xeriscaping is like dry gardens really. So that's why
Ah,
parang
okay.
good for indoor plants because they're the one of the lowest in maintenance requirement. Right?
Mm.
And of course, there's the ZZ plant. If you know the
Yes.
ZZ plant, so that's also and of course the very
ZZ is ZZ is yung parang it's nakikita na ko sa kanya kasi parang 'di ba it's a long stem with a lot of
right.
leaves tapos yung dulong stem niya is medyo mataba and then the leaves are really thick
Yes,
parang
yes.
half
So very dark
'di ba
green
parang
also.
mm
So that's yeah. I mean like yun yung mga madaling alagaan. Tapos kumbaga kung if you're a newbie and you get it, tapos biglang mag-brown yung leaves niya, madali naman yung mapalitan, madali siya mag-regrow. So
ah
kumbaga,
okay
siyempre, if you're a newbie plantito or plantita, you'll experience your first heartbreak kapag may namatayan ka ng
that's
tama
true
pag may dahon na natuyo or ginawa mo ng lahat ng nasa nakita mo sa Google. But yeah, that's where you
ganun
learn.
talaga eh.
Yeah. So and then the other ones, maybe the top five would be one is the peace lily. I'm sure you've seen them a lot.
Yes.
For me, I have it. I'll see if I can get the one that I have here later and show you. And maybe one of the top five really for me is Monstera, right?
Monstera, yeah.
Mahal lang siya
And
ngayon.
there are and maraming varieties nito, 'di ba? The most popular would be yung Monstera deliciosa.
Yeah.
I hope I pronounce it right. Yung parang malaki with parang maraming fingers or maraming butas yung dahon niya.
Yeah, they also call it Swiss cheese plant. Sometimes
Swiss
they call
cheese
it
plant.
chocolate plant. I don't know why. But yeah, so yung Monstera na yan, maraming tayo nanonood dito, diba? Pero grabe yung Monstera na yan. Like a lot of people for me to the people who are watching, I feel like a lot of sellers are taking advantage of it being
Yes.
highly there's a very high demand of that now, and people are really making taga of the prices. And for me, since I've been into this plant and landscape business for a long time, I think it's really good that a lot of people are taking advantage of that. The people that nagagawa and but and yan, so parang let's hope that someday the prices kind of regulate itself. People would start to regulate themselves so that other people wouldn't feel that they're being taken advantage of. So yeah, but Monstera definitely. And if I could mention a few more, the spider plant and aloe vera. Aloe vera, kilala niyo yung aloe vera.
Yes.
The Chinese evergreen also, if you know
Yes.
that.
Aglonema, di ba?
Yes,
That's parang
aglonemas are very good.
aglonema.
You'll see them in this mall in Makati during like many parts of the year. So you'll see them, and it's really like good for indoors. Very good for low light. And
What about Architect Vince? What about succulents and cacti?
On a personal note, I'm not a fan of succulents.
Actually, ako din. Pero kasi I see a lot of people are parang pag gusto nilang mag-umpisa, they're starting with snake plants and succulents eh. Pero parang ako I don't really ang masakit sa puso is parang they want to take care of cactus or cacti pero nilalagay nila indoor where there is a cold temperature which is parang hindi dapat, 'di ba? Tama ba?
Yes and no. It's a combination of the temperature. It's a combination also of the light that they get.
Okay.
So they also need a certain kind of light and which is kind of and to dry places, you need a certain kind of humidity. Kaya, di ba, a lot of the succulents from Baguio.
Okay.
So it's good to start with cactus if you're more inclined into them. They're also easy to care for, but like what I said earlier, you maybe just have to start with one or two, and then before you get the hang of it. They're really cute. You know what you like about succulents? Parang collectible din yan eh. Diba? They're really cute, very easy to ano. But
yes.
for just because I'm Chinese also, we're not so fond of plants that are very spiky. So that's why I'm not a fan of the succulents. I tried succulents during my first year as really like a indoor plant enthusiast. But pinabayaan ko lang siya. But after a while, it died down. Naulan na tired of nilabas na naulan na nalunod naman tayo. So parang ayoko na. So parang I'll focus more on the tropical plants which I use a lot in my projects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, may phone-in question lang tayo.
Okay, I see.
So, marami na kasing nanonood ng live. So, we have a question here from Architect Valen. She is our alternate treasurer for UEP Venezuela. So, hi Architect Valen. How about daw ba rubber plant?
Yes, I was gonna say rubber plant is my next.
Mm-hmm.
The red rubber tree is, I think I have it here. One of the more hardy plants and very good for your indoor plant setup, no? Madali yan alagaan, especially the red rubber or the ruby that they say. The yellow is also okay, but I'll just go quickly about the lirata. For me, they're a bit tricky. They're very fantastic, very architectural. A lot of you guys are architects, and we know that it's a sculpture in itself, right? But it's a bit tricky for me in caring for them. So I'd go for the red rubber tree.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So yun. So as I mentioned
and
earlier,
another thing that I
go. Okay, go.
I was about to say lang na another thing na napapansin ko that are popular is Fidel leaf fig. Did I pronounce it right?
That's the lirata.
Parang large leaf.
Lirata, Ficus lirata. It's very common, very photogenic. As I mentioned, very sculptural.
Yes.
But medyo hirap siya for places which don't get a lot of light. That's what we noticed.
Oh, okay.
So, kasi puno itong mga to eh. If you go to High Street, I mean, there's a lot of places here outside na puno talaga siya, laki-laki yung puno. So it's used to getting a lot of ground for its roots. It's used to getting a lot of sun. Kasi iba, napapano sila na when you have it indoors and then tapos naarawan, nagsusunog ng konting kapatid yung mga tao. When in fact, in reality, it's really like a tree that's supposed to get sun. So, but it's really just about the plants getting shot. But yeah. So, kung
I see. And you,
maybe would be the 9 areas at most for me, or if it's beside a window, which really gets a good ventilation and sunlight.
and you mentioned about light na while we're talking about fiddly fig. So parang as I understand, these indoor plants, iba-iba din sila ng light requirements, tama? Although there are indoors, they are indoor plants, parang they still require a certain amount of light or sunlight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For me also, the ones that require yung kumbaga medyo kahit low light mabubuhay yung mga syngonium, snake plant, and pothos. Yeah. And
Okay.
then, yung mga pwede pang banyo. But for me, from time to time, pwede mo pa rin yan ilabas.
Okay.
But if you really want your plants to thrive well, like, it has to get a bright, indirect light. So, whether it's morning sun or at least a certain part of the day, it gets a lot of parang, like indirect light.
Yeah. Are there,
Sorry,
are there,
indirect light.
Yeah. You're saying something?
yeah, may phone-in question lang ulit si Sir Pakoy. So, are there plants that you can totally leave inside, yung talagang hindi mo siya ilalabas from time to time?
Oh, no. Meron naman. Again, depende rin when you say hindi mo siya ilalabas, but if it doesn't any other point, because it's life. Life. But if it's totally indoor, but it gets the amount of ventilation also, light, there are a lot of plants that you can, like Monstera for one. Pwede mo iwan yan. Yung Monstera ko dito, like, and di pa nalalabas. It's very much alive. So, you just have to make sure that the environment is conducive for the plant kahit hindi mo siya ilalabas. Now, kung talagang take mo, alam mo naman sa sarili mo na talagang kulang siya sa window, sa sunlight, you have to be true to yourself, accept mo na ganun talaga yung environment mo. And sometimes you have to do the work. So, I mean, these are living things, and you need to really be cautious and caring for them. And even if you have to bring them out several times a week or once every week, you have to be prepared to do it. Diba? So you have to give a certain alaga, right?
Hugot pa yan.
So basically, like, so low light does not mean zero light, diba? It's just mean parang less amount of sunlight, pero they should still be able to receive a certain amount of sunlight, pero konti lang requirement nila compared to the other plants, diba?
Yeah, or you put it indoors for 3 days, and then on the 4th day, you leave it on a spot where it gets some light. Saka mo pa ibalik. Parang ganon. More ko talaga kung gusto mo lang ng green talaga yung light niya, mag-artificial ka na lang. Hindi mo na loko yung sarili mo. Mag-artificial ka na lang.
That's true.
At least yun, lifetime
maraming available na ganyan.
Yeah,
and you don't.
Hindi halata, di ba? You go to the Divisoria, so many faux plants. And to me, syempre nung una purist kami. Parang okay lang kami, hindi kami okay na may artificial plants. Parang uy, yuck. Parang judge ka kapag artificial plants ganyan. Parang papanggap ka, di ba? But we realize, sometimes if it achieves the certain aesthetic that you want to create, then so be it. Huwag mo na pahirapan sa sarili mo, wala ka talagang ilaw, tapos kukuha ka pa ng mga plants na mahilig sa araw.
How about ano daw?
Pero meron bang ano?
Yeah, Van.
Go ahead, Kalay. I think we're
Like,
asking the same question.
Oo. Meron ba, if ever, like, mabubuhay using artificial light lang?
Yes. Yes.
Parang CTO lang di ba?
They call it grow light. They call it grow
Okay.
light. I just forgot the actual
Yes.
Kelvin that you need. But of course, you have to parang match the daylight requirement.
Okay.
It will grow, definitely. But of course, it will be different as parang wag ka lang mag-expect na it will grow or thrive or be as healthy as if it were
SLT.
grown outside or if it really gets some natural light. Diba? But definitely, yes. I mean, like, it's being done. Like indoor farming even. Like, di ba yung mga vegetables? Pwede siya. But syempre, magastos lang sa kuryente. And sometimes, the kind of grow light that you get has color, purple. The common color is purple. So, to me lang, I'm just not a fan of that, na you see something purple just to keep something alive. Parang, not really. Yeah.
Okay.
And going back to fake plants na pinag-uusapan natin kanina, I actually wanted to ask you this since we used this dun sa ating project before. What are your thoughts about turf grass, artificial turf?
Nag-iba yung itsura niya, Vince.
We're okay with using it.
The expression says too.
Besa na ako pahamak dyan no?
That's
So,
but we're okay with that, especially for roof deck gardens if it's a balcony. Syempre marami naman sa mga clients natin or sa mga like Plantitos, Plantitas. And then this kind of wanting to have a green lawn in front of you is maybe an afterthought after the house you've been living in the house for so many years already, or you've been living in the condo for so many years already. And it's an afterthought. Engineering wise, just because of the load and the drainage requirements, diba? Alam mo yan, drainage.
I know.
Drainage requirements, and load requirement, and all the structural preparation that you need for it to be successful is going to be a headache. So in that sense, I'm okay. Kasi again, just like artificial plants, it achieves the goal of having a green space. It achieves an aesthetic. So we are okay with it. Thankfully, through the recent years, we've seen a lot of artificial plants na medyo
maganda na yung look.
Yung iba may sunog-sunog pa, di ba? Kaya sa dyan nila.
Yes.
Magaling sila magpanggap. So yeah, okay naman yun.
Pero
so
kung itong mga artificial grass na to, naka-install sa roof deck, do you think that they have the same insulating properties versus real grass? Iba pa din, ano?
I don't think so. They may help reduce glare. If you're on the rooftop, but in terms of like insulating, I don't think so. Maybe by super content, but no, don't bank on it. Kasi it's plastic, it absorbs heat pa.
Yes.
So hindi siya. I don't think so.
Yeah. Okay.
I see. Okay.
Thank
Now,
you.
let's talk about water requirements. I think that indoor plants also have a certain requirements when it comes to water.
Yeah. I'm sure you've probably seen a lot of videos where people try to water their plants. What I do, and this is really tried and tested for me, is of course you have to watch first if it looks dry. Some plants show that sometimes plants show na medyo stress na sila. Like tinatawag kanyang diligan, ganyan, right? So like the peace lily, the leaves are drooping.
Nagdo-droop sila.
Yes, diba? So pag ganyan, it's your plant telling you it's time to water them. Sometimes also parang I really, and I'm seeing this lang din in YouTube before na you try to dip your
Yep.
finger
Mhm.
on the soil if it's the first 2 inches are
If
dry,
it's
and
too dry.
if it's too
Mhm.
dry, that's the time you water the plant. Of course, outdoor, you can water it every day. It drains well, right?
Yes.
Indoor, the reason why you can't water it every day is because the water is just in a container. And then you
Mhm.
want to avoid, of course, overwatering so that you prevent the plant from having root rot.
Root
Di ba?
rot.
Yung ugat niya or yung magkakaroon ng fungus yan because syempre water tapos soil damp, it's gonna be parang perfect playground for fungus yan. Ganyan. So what I do is I water the plants and then nilalabas ko, so I just let it drain. So if it
Yes.
drains, then I know, okay, na-cover ko na siya, nabasa ko na siya. So that's what I do. And then of course there are plants. I know there are plants that I need to water almost every 2 days, and there are plants I need to water every 5 days, ganyan, or 4 days. So yeah, iba-iba. Again, kagaya ng sabi ko na yung sa level 1, kung level 1 plantito ka pa lang na aaralin mo muna kasi kada halaman iba yung water requirement niya, iba yung light
Iba-iba.
requirement. So you get the hang of it.
That's actually one of the lessons na natutunan. Parang first lessons na natutunan ko when I was starting out eh. Kasi I have parang 4 different varieties of plants. And syempre, nung una, wala akong alam. And I thought na being an indoor plant, parang they require, ang alam ko, nung nag-umpisa ako, parang you have to water them once a week at least. And then
Yeah.
I realized na these plants pala parang have different water requirements. Like, isa sa kanila, good na kahit 3 linggo na walang dilig, okay lang. Yung iba parang every 2 days, ganon. And nabanggit mo kanina si Peace Lily na parang nagdo-droop yung halaman nila. Sa akin, parang another indicator is, di ba, these indoor plants actually have thick leaves. Parang pinapakiramdaman ko yung dahon na once parang medyo numinipis na yung dahon, parang they need water na. Pero as much as possible, hindi ko pinapaabot doon. Ginagawa ko rin yung method mo, which is pinapakiramdaman ko naman yung soil kung medyo dry na or kung may moisture pa. Pero I think um, ang na-realize ko is they don't like water that much, pero they like moisture. Parang gusto lang nila medyo basa yung soil, pero they don't want parang magstay yung water within that container.
Yes, that's right. Ayaw lang kasi malunod sila. Parang just enough
Exactly.
for them to breathe also. But yeah, di ba? Tayo nga, di ba? Sa ilalim tayo ng tubig for kasi na malunod tayo. I mean, like it's the same with the plant. So, but thankfully also there are gadgets that you can buy in online marketplaces wherein it will help you determine, okay, it's time to water your plants or your soil is dry already. So marami tayong mga ganyan.
Okay.
I haven't personally tested it because for me, pwede naman yung nga, kapain mo yung halaman mo. I think kasi that's part of the fun eh. Di ba? Pag ganun mo kaalam yung mga halaman mo, ay, kailangan, parang, di ba, after some time, very organic, intrinsic na yun sa'yo eh. Parang, by instinct, alam mo na, ay, kailangan ko namang diligan to. Ganyan. After a while, pag gano'n, level 50 ka na.
Yes.
Pag plantita, level 50 ka na.
Kapag nakikipag-usap ka na talaga sa halaman, ganon.
Oo.
Hindi ka na plantito, plant expert ka na.
Yeah, so.
Ayan. I think Sir Pocoy is with us na.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello, hi, good evening.
Hi.
Sorry, I had
Hi, Sir Papoy.
5 minutes before we went live. I had a Chrome update that couldn't allow me to use my audio on my desktop. So it's caught up now using my phone. Good evening.
Yeah.
Yeah, good evening. Yeah.
Pero
So,
he was with us all the way. Dami niyang tanong. Kaya sabi ko, Sir Pocoy, mag-join ka na. Yeah, kasi meron siyang may tanong siya kanina, paano daw pag hindi green thumb? Yun talaga daw yung frustration niya.
Kasi ako wala talaga green thumb eh. And that's why since
Is it
siguro
even real? Totoo ba?
early 2000s, I've researched and involved myself in aquaponics.
Mm.
So dahil nga, I couldn't raise a plant to save my life. Kaya sa aquaponics, yung isda lang binubuhay ko and the plants were growing.
Mhm.
Yan.
For me, I'm not a believer in green thumb or black thumb, as some people would say. Yung pag hindi nakabuhay ng plant. Kaya nga, for me, it's really it's a journey. We start, and then it takes practice also. Basta ka lang doon sa mga easy to care, and then eventually you start collecting, and then you just get better taking care of them. Baka lang, sir, hindi mo pa nahanap yung katapat mong halaman. So,
well, meron thriving cactus dito na hindi na ornamental kasi ang laki na, sobrang laki na.
Yeah. For me, honestly, anyone can be a plant. Like, anyone can have a green thumb if they want. As long as, of course, you're willing to put in care for the plant and a bit of work, watering, putting them out, you'll be good.
Thanks.
So there's hope.
Ayan.
So yung mga
Yes.
try lang ng try sa iba, there's hope. Yeah.
Pero what is like the good practice for watering indoor plants? Kasi like kamukha din yung ginagawa ko sa ginagawa mo, Architect Vince. Parang I take the plants out and then I water them. And when I water them, dinidiligan, this is just my personal practice. Sa gilid ng pots ko sila dinidiligan, not where the stems or the roots are. Parang sa gilid ko lang. Then I make parang hanggang makarating ako sa gitna. And then when the water comes out of the pot, stop na ako. And then let it parang sit outside for a couple of hours before ko sila ipasok sa loob.
Yeah, that's okay. That's what I do as well. Whether you start in the middle or start at the sides, it's good to water at the sides also. Especially if you have a relatively bigger pot and then you want the plant to grow. Hahanapin kasi ng roots yan yung water, diba?
Mm-hmm.
So if you if you water more on the outside, the perimeter, they'll try to go for that eventually, and then they will also. Yeah.
Pero is it kasi what I learned from aquaponic farming, don't they also need like a gap in the soil to have oxygen or to still be aerated?
Yeah, you're right, sir. That's the importance of. Then we go to the kind of like soil, right? Soil mix. If you know, I'm sure you encountered there's this potting mix that they call, and they has parang vermiculite, perlite, etc. Why? And these are stones, right? Really little stones. Why? Because if it's just a solid, if it's all soil, like really like the legit soil, it tends to be compacted over time. Right?
Tsaka nagre-retain ng water yan, di ba?
Yeah. And nagre-retain, minsan hindi lang nagre-retain ng water. Minsan, if it becomes too compacted, hindi nakakababa yung water.
Hindi nakaka-penetrate.
Yes. And you will notice this on plants that are nagkakaroon ng algae sa taas.
Okay.
The water is not really, the drainage of that plant is not good. So, for us, it's a sign. Outdoors or indoors. So it's good. It's the kind of soil mix that you do, and then sometimes we recommend that you repot it, or sometimes you cultivate it, just to make the plant root breathe a bit. But the importance of the having the right soil mix is very important also. For just because of drainage, aeration also.
Yes.
Yeah. Especially kung baby
Kasi parang
plants yan. Yeah, kung baby plants yan, syempre, fruits yan, syempre medyo delicate. And then you want to give them,
Oo.
you want to make it easy for them to grow faster. Unlike naman yung mga bigger plants na medyo madali na yan eh. But for smaller plants, if you're bago ka pa lang, so mas maganda padaliin mo rin sa kanila na makahanap yung roots ng parang room for growth.
Kasi for me, I think parang related yung water requirement sila with the type so that you're using and parang the kind or the size of pots then na ginagamit mo for the plants, diba? And I think we have some questions from Facebook, Kalay.
Yeah. So first of all, as I've mentioned kanina, sobrang daming nanonood sa atin. So first of all, sa UAP Verazwa in chapter members and officers, so ang daming naka-tune in kasi marami na ring Plantito and Plantita. Mga nahawa na sila doon sa trend, especially yung mga namin dito, yung mga certified Titos and Titas. So, I would like to shout out lang siguro kasi our immediate past president here, Architect Hershey D. Dulo, she is with us now sa live. So, our chapter president, si Architect Dian Clavio, and si wifey niya, na si Architect Ivy Clavio. So, and a lot more. You have Architect Ana Gonzalez, Architect Al Gonzalez, yan, mga certified Plantita yan. Meron na silang gardens sa likod ng bahay nila. And Architect Jose De Leon, we have Architect Roger Santos, Architect Blitzer Grayson, Architect Valen Lopez, Architect Renato Manuel, and... Ha?
Roll call na attendance.
Yes, roll call to ng attendance. Kasi magtatampo sila pag hindi namin sila tinawag. And a lot more na lang siguro. Tapos, since ito nagalit sa akin si Vince.
Yung podcast kasi natin, Architect Vince, para din tong ano.
Sorry ba? Nade-delay tayo, sorry ah. Hindi kami magpag-zoom ni Van eh.
This podcast. Sige na, you go ahead, Kalay.
Oh, yeah, yan. So, yung sasabihin siguro ni Van kasi is, yung podcast namin is parang required manood, FYI, sorry. Yung, aside from UAP
parang radio na rin ito, parang radio show. We have to do greetings.
Oo. So, yun, as a break dun sa ano. Pero yun, to continue lang, so ito, nagalit sa akin si Vince nang advertise ko dun sa private group namin ng community. So, hello sa leapers out there, especially sila Paula, Mavic, hello. So, sa mga nanonood, and a lot more actually. So,
Hi, Paula.
Yan. So, they are with us. Then, marami pa. Si D is here. D Somera, hello. So, hi. Yan. So, si Randy Villalobos. So, there. So, Architect James, si Sir James Franco. So, yan. Architect Jessa Medina. Okay. So, I think, yun, yung mga, I can't do a roll call talaga. Sobrang dami. Sorry. Pero, mention ko na lang yung mga questions nila. Si Architect Jose kanina may question about Malvarosa. So, parang may tanong siya about sa insect. Sorry, Nana Pro. Para anti-insect or bug repellent. Pwede ba daw siyang pang-display?
It's good for display, but I don't think it's really an insect repellent. You know, that's also para an ongoing debate for planting. Because from my standpoint, for like for example, you even hear about neem oil, right? The neem it's supposed to like ward off mosquitoes. But essentially, if you have the plant, just a plant there, it's not really going to throw away your mosquitoes. It's really what you parang
yung diba? Or yung
kailangan mong i-extract yung ano. Okay.
Yes. So
is there a placement let's say for like you said, hindi naman siya talagang insect repellent, but I've read somewhere about other kinds of plants that are beneficial, like yung fortune bamboo, good for oxygen production.
Yeah, yes sir. Marami ng ano yan, naglalabas ng research about that. Kasama din dyan yung peace lily or the sensations, even the snake plants, also different kinds of snake plants. So, mas okay kami sa mga ganyan kasi medyo sigurado tayo.
May purpose.
Yeah, may purpose. With the insect repelling features, we feel, I personally feel it's a myth. But my friends would swear that having some herbs also, the smell of that sometimes it wards off parang unwanted insects like oregano, just because it has a certain smell. Ayaw daw na, even some pets ata ayaw din nata ng mga ganun.
Mhm.
So,
Ako din, ayoko na.
yeah, ayaw.
When I planted basil before,
Yeah.
Mabango yan,
sa
gusto
may
ko yan, mabango yan.
ito namin, grabe, amoy pasta araw-araw.
Grabe naman,
Kasi-
Papa ko, nakakagutom naman pala sa inyo nun.
Kasi yung basil, hindi ko pinlant ng isa-isa. As in, hinagis ko lang doon. Tapos ito, bubuso ng gubat eh.
Okay.
Anyway, my follow-up question to the oxygen-producing plants was, would you recommend, or is there a guide that we can follow with regards to placement, where to place them, or in fact, not just for oxygen-producing plants, but any kind of plant in general? Would you recommend location in a particular room?
Sir, for me, you have to consider the aesthetic appeal of it as well. From an architecture standpoint, design standpoint, scale is very important. Of course, you don't want something that's really, really thick, dense, and tall in a very compact room. It would make the room feel even tight, no? So you have to mix and match. Sometimes having slender tree in the corner would make the would make that corner look, or would make the space look taller.
To emphasize the height.
Meron kang 7 foot high na 7 feet high na rubber tree. So you put it in a corner. I mean, instantly it gives you parang the illusion that okay, this space is really high. So it has different there are many ways to go about it, but essentially for me the scale and balance has to be considered also. The elements of design and functionality as well. Like for example, you have a table working or work from home setup.
Yeah.
Diba? Of course, what would work is just a small tabletop planter. You don't want naman something very big planted or like placed in front of you just because it becomes a distraction as well if you're moving around stuff. So it's a combination of scale, functionality, color also. Sometimes it depends if you just sometimes you get comments, okay, it's all green, so you have to put a bit of color. So that color balance as well is very important. And of course, as you go as you consider these elements, you have to consider also the site conditions. Again, sorry, I mean like even if you have a big room, but it doesn't get a lot of light, natural light. Whatever you put there, you will really always have a casualty. So ano po sa talaga, sir? Experiment po. Yeah.
Ang napansin ko kasi with interior decorations as well as outdoors ngayon kasi siguro pinausin ng Ayala yung paggamit ng Thai bamboo. Yung Thai bamboo.
Sir?
Mga Ayala companies, yung mga Ayala malls, di ba? Parang puro, for a good time, since siguro 2010, parang puro napupuno ng, ganun, Thai bamboo ang mga facades ngayon My question to that is, beyond the Thai bamboos, ang dami ngayon puro greens, is using or the use of flowers out of style today?
No, not at all. But We just know also that indoors, medyo mahirap mag-flower yung mga plants. If you have a peace lily and if it's always indoors, it will not have a flower. It will not move. But more and more people, I mean, so far as my clients are concerned, they really just like the idea that at certain times of the year, there's a flower here. At summer, they, for those who have windies, they just know they expect it. That for summer, you're going to be excited because they're going to have color. And then at certain parts of the year, if it's rainy, of course, it's just basically going to be all green. And certain parts of the year, like for example, kamuning right now is blooming very well. I have one here and it's very fragrant. So, at August, I just know that I have something very fragrant in my garden. So it's instinctively when you're starting your Plantito journey, it may not be like your first concern if it's flowering or not. It will probably be more about just the idea of having an indoor plant. But you go along, sir. Siguro itong mga level level 80. Kapag na yan, kapag pinag-uusapan mo na yung gusto mo na may flowering ka na certain times of the year, you're expecting different flowers. So it's definitely an in thing now. And in fact, we encourage people to experiment on this, especially if their space allows for it. If it gets, again, generous light and ventilation.
So that definitely people have gone way beyond the typical santan and gumamela.
Yes.
May santan saka gumamela pa din kami dito.
You know what? We're coming back. Especially gumamela. And we're seeing a lot of people collect different kinds of gumamela.
I saw different colors of gumamela. Nung bata ako in the 80s, puro pula lang eh. Yun yung minamash namin, ginagawa namin bubbles eh.
Bubbles.
Yeah. In Pampanga. Yeah.
Ang dami kasi dito nun, di ba, Van? Ay, Vince.
Yes.
Pero ang hindi ko ngayon, ang napansin ko, I'm a child of the 80s. And are you? So dito mag-aalay ng age. Ang nami-miss ko about the 80s is going out into the garden. Of course, the plants were there, the bushes and everything. Ang nami-miss ko na hindi ko na masyado nakikita ngayon, yung naghahabol kami ng tutubi.
Ito lang. Ito lang.
In Kapampangan.
Yes.
Yes.
Hindi yung tutubing buhangin, hindi, tutubing karayom.
Karayom.
Yes.
Karayom.
Yeah, I would do that. I would still do that in UP whenever. But yun nga, sir. So those are, I think it's slowly starting to come back. People appreciating what comes with having a garden, like butterflies, for example.
Yes.
Birds. I mean, of course, if you have a bigger garden and you're seeing birds nesting in your garden, they like that. Even ladybugs. Although sometimes peste yung mga ladybugs na yan,
Bubutas ng
and
halaman.
it's something that really brings you back to nature, I guess. So it's a growing fashion po now that kind of like organic or real appreciation of what comes with having plants. A warm spring, for example. I mean, minsan nagugulat ako pag nagre-repot ako ng halaman, may daming bulate. So, I mean, and I know na kahit kagili yan, I know that it means that like my plant is healthy. Right?
Yeah.
Although one time lang napakan ko, dito na.
Yun lang.
Natapakan ko sa ito, ang lamig ko sa pag... Yeah.
Pero,
they're healthy.
Architect Vince, ang napapansin ko na medyo popular na flowery right now is bromeliad. Pwede ba yun indoors? Hindi kasi ako fan ng ng mga flowers pero parang I notice people are getting bromeliad eh.
Yeah, well, pwede din siya. But bromeliads are really like outdoors. So,
okay.
They're being used
Meron kami
for as
nito.
decorative elements lang for normally for tables top setting. And I'm not sure if
Mhm.
the ones you've seen are really like in like potted plants. In potted talaga sila. Baka they're cuttings and then they're part of the decor. But for me, bromeliads are really like outdoor plants. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, another phone kin question dito, dun sa, na-miss ko lang kanina. What are welcome plants? From Architect Al Gonzalez, tong question. What are
Ngayon
welcome
ko lang
plants
din
daw?
narinig ang welcome plants.
You know, sometimes they say the ZZ plant is a welcome plant. There are ang hirap sagutin eh. Parang kasi if you Google, there are really different types of welcome plant. Even if when you Google money plant, maraming lalabas yan.
Kasi actually kami, meron kami dito nito sa garden. Pero nasa garden siya. Nilabas kasi sabi ng iba, parang poisonous daw yung leaves kapag na-ingest, parang ganon. I think yun yung ZZ plant. Oo nga eh. Hindi kasi may mga bata. Grabe naman tong si Vince judgmental. Hindi kasi lumaki na kasi siya. So parang ang lalaki na ng leaves niya. Nung maliit siya, nasa loob. Tapos nung lumaki na, tinanim na ni mama sa labas. So parang yon, sabi niya, welcome plant daw yon. I think yun yung ZZ plant.
Fortune plant also.
Yeah.
Sometimes they call it like a welcome plant also. But for me, yung evidence, yung mayana, the red colorful plants, they sometimes call it as a welcome plant also. So siguro, whatever, for me, like whatever plant that you think can be unique and could be a gesture of your hospitality for your, like the warmth of your home, you can probably have it. But I would go for plants that have color or a bit of character. Parang, uy, wow. Parang it's a statement piece. And then, syempre,
Monstera deliciosa.
yeah, or like, kunyari, if you're plantito talaga or plantita, and then you want your plants to be appreciated, you want your plants to be noticed. And if you have this conversation pieces like such as plants, it's a good welcoming feature already.
Could
You know what?
could you recommend
I had this-
a website or something, or maybe could you direct our listeners to where we could possibly see a listing of plants that are available online, available locally? May ganun pa tayo? May resource pa tayo na ganun?
Balcony and Gardens.
Well, go to our page. How do I answer that? Marami, sir. Just Google. Just Google. You can be a member of Facebook groups. In
Yes.
Facebook groups, you will really like daily, without even you Googling it, you really have a daily dose of what's there, what's available, what's not. For trees, I'm not all to these are trees. There are the Philippine Native Trees. It's a 3-volume book, but that's for trees. For plants, there is, I'm not sure if it's still available in National Bookstore, but there is this plant collection by Madolid. We've been using it since college. It's a collection of locally available plants. But the thing is, it's one thing that it's available, but it's another thing that's commercially available.
Yeah.
So, like Monstera, kunyari, kayong Sir Monstera, wala ka masyado makikita Monstera ngayon. I mean, like, suddenly it became rare. It's because a lot of people hoard it. But, yun nga, it's one thing to know that it's growing within your area, but it's another thing to know that it's commercially available. So, with that, on that note, I would recommend people to really, if you have time, you go check your local nurseries.
Tabang.
Tabang. Actually, ayan, isisingit ko to.
Sa Tabang,
May shameless plug ako.
Yeah.
May shameless plug ako. So, one of our page titos, si Franz, so Franz Palisok, they own the Bulacan Gardens. So, baby niya ngayon is si Rona's Garden. So, they do online selling of plants. Tapos, yung Instagram and Facebook page nila, you can follow that sa Rona's Garden. So, they do everyday posting ng mga plants na ninunurse nila doon sa tabang. So, yun, sa tabang siya. Yung
And after
nila.
you follow them, you can follow Balcony Garden.
Sponsor!
Yes, and very much.
After you follow them, you can also follow Balcony Gardens. You have a more interactive Facebook interview.
Competitive ka.
Of course, I'm your guest. You should indulge me.
Yes, I know. I already endorsed you kanina.
Yeah, no.
Kaya nga sabi ko, shameless plug eh. I'm so
But
sorry.
we really encourage you guys, for those who are starting, even though you're already an expert, you go to your local garden stores, because sila, if you want to get tips, you talk to them. Paano po alagaan to? Paano po paramihin ito? Then they really tell you. I got all the things I know. I really just got it from interviewing them as I source and scout for plants. So yeah, I mean, and of course, it's also good to help these local mom and pop shops. And I'm really happy that that right now they're getting some form of boost. We're very happy for them, so that we're being able to provide them livelihood through the purchases that we make.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. Actually.
Architect Vince, I'm checking the Balcony and Gardens website, and you have Monstera adansonii. Available ba to? Nagtanong.
Yes, we still have that. Yeah.
I'm gonna share yung
website
ID nila.
All right, they also have a website. It's balconyandgardens.com. Tama, Architect Vince? Yes, I'm putting this up right now.
But just for the people's benefit, we just started it, and it was really born during this pandemic. We do residential garden design, and we're used to selling plants in bulk for projects. But just because of the pandemic, and we needed to liquidate our stocks at the office because of the project that got canceled. That's when we decided to okay, why not sell the plants so that we can give financial aid to our gardeners, and we can also pay back and support our partner suppliers. So that's how this was born. And I want to talk more about this. Please follow us. If you have questions or inquiries, please do send it on our Instagram page. But yeah, so we're a team. So all our team at LArch Design Studio takes part of this. So minsan salitan kami. So we also want to ask for patience for people who are inquiring, because we're new to this. Again, we're not used in selling in retail. So yeah, thank you for that, man. Yeah.
Do you deliver ba?
Yes, we do. And
even sa Bulacan?
Please watch out for our stores. We will be having our stores in Pampanga this August. Hopefully, we will be having our store in Cebu and Bacolod and Pangasinan.
Nice. Okay.
Can I
Kasi
ask you? Sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Sir Pakoy.
Yes. Can I ask you a design question?
Yes, sir.
Kami kasi, when we design homes or when we design facades, a lot of us, kasi this comes from my experience in the academia, kasi I used to teach. So a lot of students, as well as practicing, they just put plants, pwede ko sabihin, as an afterthought. So my question there is, would you recommend that in terms of putting them in plants, or rather putting them in pots, versus really creating a plant box for them, in a way integrating the plants into the design?
Okay. Would you have us particular size in mind for that kind of question, sir? Size of the house.
Kahit like me, for example, when I designed mga mid-rise, mga 10 stories,
Right.
pag nilagyan ko na halaman, nabubuhay bigla ang building. At least on paper, on my software.
Yeah.
Pero I didn't necessarily plan where they would be. So no plant boxes were set. Parang idea ko lang na to put them into pots.
Right.
Pero I mean, I just had the idea from your Instagram that Kala is presenting to us now. You have those green walls and everything. Would you rather integrate them that way, being part of the built environment, than putting them in pots as an ornament or something?
Just because of my profession, of course, we prefer that not necessarily built into the facade. That's fantastic if you can really integrate it, so that you don't have to do a lot of retrofitting after a while. No? But when you let's say for example built a facade and then suddenly okay, why not go for a green wall? Then you have to retrofit, right? If it can be integrated, that's fantastic. But not only on the facade itself, not only on the architecture, but much better on the site plan.
Yes, of course.
In the house, like for example, this house, sorry, yeah, it's much better if you consider it, and if you already a lot of space for your plants. Now, if you want to have plants on pots as a decorative accent, it's also okay. But more often than not, and so far the new houses that we're working on now, the landscape has been considered by the owners because they really want their greens, or at least in certain pockets when whether they are in the living room or in the dining room or in the foyer, they really have access to at least a landscape view. So it's very much integrated po in the plan, and that's what we want. Para kasi hindi siya afterthought. You're right. You don't want it to be an afterthought. And hindi lang yung sa pagiging afterthought. Sometimes the necessary irrigation is not there. Drainage is not there. So what if you don't have pala a planting space for one? If everything's concrete, so then the rework becomes a headache. So it's better talaga if you plan early, and then you anticipate that you will be needing plants later on. And yeah.
All right.
Yeah, yes, sir. So, but
Thank you.
Site planning is a different. I think we're doing another discussion with LA for that next time. Site planning for residential projects.
Yeah.
Actually, sa site planning, I guess most architects have that as a problem with regards to plants. I mean, would you say it is enough that we set aside an area or a space for plants? Kasi parang, how do we make that better? Kasi like for me, in my case, when I design, ganun din yung thought ko yung thought process ko dyan Just create a space for them. I know the plants are going there, but I'm not necessarily adept as to what's going to be there. You know what I mean?
Well,
so I guess my question there is, what advice would you give designers for that?
In the concept of along the lines of tropical design, we know, of course, the value of considering having plants on the right location. Let's say, for example, sir, you want to harness the amihan or habagat properly. So, diba, when you're doing the architecture, you position your windows so that it really gets amihan or habagat better. But also, you can have your and if you know if the place really gets strong winds, you know that you have to plant trees maybe to help buffer strong winds. So it's really, sir, for me, first and foremost, really knowing the site conditions, the environment, like you do really well your site analysis. Does it really get hot? And it's another thing, Pastor, if you already have a kapitbahay, if you have a neighbor, uh, and then you're building a bungalow, but your neighbor is 3 floors, so parang in plan,
Shadow ka na.
may shadow ka na. So that's also something to be considered as well. So for me, first steps are you just have to really understand the site or how it's going to look by the time it's built. Because for all you know, you're planning it now, your neighbor is still an empty lot, but they build faster. So the understanding of the site is one. Second is in the event, of course, that you are you want to have some greens, and if the client wants to have some greens, you guys just maybe have to agree. If you don't have an access to a landscape architect or landscaper, maybe you guys just have to agree on what spaces are critical to have greens. Again, like kunyari po, in living room or dining or entrance. So, and then you work from there. Ultimately naman po, for me, it's really the client also who kind of dictates if they want 70% greens versus 30% house, or 80% house, 20% greens. It's really also the client that will dictate that po. Yeah.
Yeah, and Sir Pakoy, Vince here has already agreed to do a webinar with us. So, watch out for that sa mga napaka-live sa atin. So,
Thank you.
he will be discussing more about this, that is site design for residential.
Yeah.
We will be announcing it very, very soon. So, we will have this is in cooperation with UAP Baraswain chapter. So, watch out for that. We will be launching a series for that. So, yan. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
Sobrang
So,
daming malalaman dyan.
There will be an in-depth discussion for mga plans and sa site, no? Kalay, do we still have other questions from Facebook?
So far, wala naman ako nakikita ngayon. Shoutout lang kay Architect DD Albert Dumlao.
Oh. Good evening, DD Albert.
Ngayon.
Architect Vince, you mentioned earlier tungkol sa mga spaces sa bahay. Parang, do you have recommendation lang kung anong magandang, say, indoor plant on a certain spot, like kunyari sa dining or sa living or sa bedroom, in terms of aesthetic and yung parang properties nila?
Very subjective. I'm just going to talk about my personal aesthetic, maybe. Like, for example, in my room, in my bedroom, I probably just want a snake plant. I want something easy. I want something na hindi ko kailangan hawiin. Pag tulog na ako, hawin ko yung halaman. Things like that. Maybe I will probably have a golden photos in my bathroom, or a lily plant, or a snake plant also. Definitely in my dining area, I want to have tall plants, just because, for me, eating is a very important moment for me, and I just wanted to be surrounded by green. So in my dining area now, I have the Sipritsi, the Chinese totol, they call it the bamboo palm. I have my monstera also there in the living room. I have my red rubber tree in my living room corner. I have a Boston fern in my foyer, just because I'm in a condo. On your coffee table, you can have your baby snake plants also, or your succulents if you want. On your side table, you may want to have your sensations or your peace leaves, or your calatheas or aglaonemas. So, and then if you have, maybe if you want to create focal points, if you have spaces for big jars, go for lerata, the fiddle leaf, or you can have bird's nest ferns, or the ones that have big leaves. They instantly by your home. Even if it's an empty space, just put one big, well-structured plant. That's it. You can be minimalist, but it would still feel very refreshing.
You know what, the one that I really like na merong malaking leaves is how do you pronounce this? Schismatoglotis walakay? Tama ba yung pronunciation ko? I'm looking for the picture eh.
Baka I know it by the common name, maybe it goes by the different.
Actually, hindi ko rin alam yung common name niya. Pero, I don't know kung makikita sa camera, pero this one,
Yeah. Sometimes they call this a cast iron plant, I think. Yeah.
cast iron plant, okay.
And
then,
have that also. It grows fast.
Talaga. Okay, let me take advantage of this time also. Nabanggit mo kanina yung calatheas. Hindi ko talaga nakuha ang sikreto on how to grow calatheas. Paano ba?
Well, ano yan eh, mga maarte yung mga laman na yan eh. I would just
Diba?
be kind of, medyo maarte yan.
Hindi, pero that's true.
Even me, like I've been experimenting for 4 months now, I still get brown leaves. But the good thing about them is they grow fast. I mean, sorry, hindi yung COVID ha. Ano yan? What do you call it? What do you call this? Madali sila mag-anak. So, you have a lot of room to play around. So, talagang matalan sila. So, I don't think you can really achieve. So, then you have to be also be prepared to prune them. Magbukit ka ng dahon sometimes. It's part of the care. Caring is not just watering and bringing them out for some sun. You also have to know when to put them. When you have to let go, diba? So you have to
ay na naman, pangalawa na yan. Pag pangatlo, papangalanan ko na yan.
I'm just saying, because sometimes people, like for example, the rest of the leaves is still okay, but it gets parang maybe 20% brown leaves. You know, it's never going to come back. Never coming back. Never going to be green again. So might as well just cut it. Yeah, because rather than the plant giving energy to that leaf, you just cut it so that the energy of the plant, when they produce food, it goes to parang wanting to get another leaf. Right? It's really focusing the energy of the plant. So that's the kind of the science behind the pruning also. Yeah.
You mentioned the energy of plants. Yung long theory or long practice of talking to the plants. Maybe this is a dumb question, but is there basis for it? And do you recommend it?
I do it because I do it like
ako din.
I do it, but I kind of like I guess, sir, it's really just, and there are studies about this as well, that like plants have feelings as well. So it's not really like how you talk to the plants, but it's how the energy you share with the plant. So if you're able to share a kind of caring energy to the plant, if you talk to them, I think the plant really takes that in. So so in that sense, I think it's good to talk to plants.
Okay, noted.
Just be careful that they don't talk back. That's
Matakot ka.
yeah.
Hindi ko anong pangalan talaga, sorry.
Hindi kaya ito si Monstera deliciosa? Kasi
Hindi, iba pa. Yung may red.
Iba pa.
Hindi ko alam kung Monstera yung
Red eye plant?
Hindi. Smoothie. Pero,
Okay.
wait lang. I'm looking for
Habang
that
naghahanap ka
post.
dyan, Kalay.
Sige. Chikahin mo lang si Vince.
Pero, Architect Vince,
Eto na.
okay, makita mo na.
Alganimas. Biglang nag-search yung price nito. Alganimas?
Aganimas, Aglonimas.
Aglonimas.
O Aglonimas, yung red na Aglonima.
Yung red na Aglonimas.
The red aglonema, I've always known that the red ones are quite difficult to yeah, so that one I've always known that they're pricey, but now they're like double or triple.
Oo nga biglang nag-search yung price niya. But yung mas mura is yung white and green.
Yeah. The sometimes they call it the snow queen or the silver queen.
Yes.
They're very easy to care for indoor plants also, and they're always green. Unlike the calatheas, which are, again, are a bit more sensitive, these ones are medyo on the beginner stand.
Okay.
Okay.
And speaking of white, di ba, these plants also parang meron silang variegated versions. Paano ba, paano ba nagkakaroon ng variegated version, variegated type yung mga halaman, or ano din to, paano ba yon?
I think a horticulturist can answer that. I don't know. I don't have the answer for that. But what we do know is sometimes some plants that are supposed to be variegated, they just turn all green.
Okay.
Sometimes also, well, sometimes people experiment on plants and then they get to have the variegation.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a better person to ask for that is a horticulturist. Yeah.
Horticulture, no? Kasi I have a Pothos and Joy dito sa bahay, and they're really, I mean, I started with like parang konting variegation lang niya, and right now parang almost maputi na yung mga yung mga dahon. Okay.
That's probably how they were meant to be. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And what about common problems sa mga indoor plants?
We mentioned
isa sa mga experience.
Yeah, but
isa sa mga na-experience ko talaga yung nabanggit mo kanina is root rot. Parang I think it's because of overwatering eh. Pero let's say magka-root rot yung halaman, is there any way pa to salvage it, or talagang I just have to let it go? Wala na.
Root rot is, you know what, kung mamimili ka overwatering or underwatering, you go for underwatering.
Underwatering, yeah.
Yeah. So kasi mas madali siya maka-recover rather than pa nag-root rot yan, wala. Plus of course, that's where the right pot also comes in. You have to have proper drainage holes for that also. The soil also, again. Other problems would be sometimes browning leaves for many reasons. Maybe underwatering, overwatering, sometimes lack of very low humidity. So many different sometimes iba naman nagkakasakit. Like ibang dahon natin nagkakaroon ng parang kalawang, and then
yung naninilaw, parang dilaw.
Sometimes that's a fungal
And
infection.
they better they better be careful kung anong gagamitin din nila na scissors or pruning material sa dahon, kasi I have this experience in one of my plants na nagkamali ako ng gamit ng scissors, and wala, namatay yung halaman after several days. And I was guessing because of yung prune na ginawa ko eh.
Huwag mo na sisihin yung pag-prune mo. Baka talagang mamatayin na yun.
Huwag mo daw sisihin yung sarili mo, Van.
Huwag mo
Be
sisihin.
compassionate.
Huwag niyo sisihin yung gunting. Talagang baka mamamatay. Yeah.
Nasisi pa yung gunting. Kawawa.
May motto ako na
Maybe. But for me, baka talagang the plan was just really, it's time.
Okay. It's time now.
Yeah.
I see. All right. So I think we have covered almost everything that a Plantita has to know if they want to start out this hobby. Is there any other questions from Facebook Live, Kalay?
So far, wala naman. Wala naman na akong nakita. I think sobrang ano na sila, na-entertain na sila. Sorry, hindi pala na-entertain. Na-inform na sila dun sa mga sinabi ni Vince kanina. So, ayan. Si Vince, if you wanna add more.
For us, for me, it's enjoy the process. Enjoy the process of learning, trying it out, accepting failure in terms of having dead plans when you're starting. It comes as with life. Really just really enjoy the whole process. That's the point of having plans in the first place. You want something that makes you happy, and for me,
Tama.
that's what you should strive for. Don't get stressed in taking care of plants because it defeats the purpose. The plants are there to relieve you of stress. So don't beat yourself too much if you're not able to achieve your plan goals.
Yeah, di ba? Evident naman sa itsura ni Architect Vance, di ba? Ni Architect Vince, di ba? Na hindi siya mukhang stress, pero sa totoo lang, sobrang stress niyan, sobrang dami niyang ginagawa.
So that,
evident
ang
sa
key lang
itsura
doon is
niya.
paligiran natin ang sarili natin ng mga halaman.
Oo, literal.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, okay, Architect Vince, we are being watched by a lot of people right now. Why don't you invite them to check out Balcony and Gardens and Clark Design Studio?
Yeah. Kinabahan ako bigla. Hindi ko naman mag-plug. But,
hindi sanay mag-plug yan eh.
Yeah, but well, thank you for watching. I hope we were able to entertain you and share with you some insights, practical insights. We hope that you get a chance to follow our Instagram page, Balcony and Gardens, on Instagram, and balconyandgardens.com if you want to go and check some of our works. We used to be, we have another page, which is clark.ph, that's CLARQ.ph. It's really our landscape architecture page for our corporate projects, and Balcony and Gardens for our residential works and plant retail. Yeah, we do hope that you guys keep it interactive. If you have other questions, you may want to shoot it to our Instagram pages. We'd be glad to entertain them.
Yeah. Ayan, so, para hindi naman magtampo sa akin si Vince, ito na. So, ipa-plug ko na siya ng bonggang-bongga. So, follow and like and share their FB page, their Instagram page. Hindi lang sila nagbebenta. They inform a lot and they teach a lot. So, marami kayong matututunan sa mga posts nila. Like, for example, this one. Yan. Hindi lang yan basta marketing. Hindi lang yan basta pampaganda ng page.
Yeah.
But you will know a lot.
Yeah, ultimately, our goal is we want to for the people to really know that it's not just about having plans. There's so much to it. Planning is important. Maintenance is important as well. Yeah, so all these things. So that's why we want to educate our customers.
Yun. So that's it. Okay, that's it. Pansit na ba tayo?
Yeah.
Okay. So ito, fina-flash ko lang yung mga IG and the website if our viewers are interested to follow and like and share actually kung gusto nilang mas marami pang malaman about Balcony and Gardens and plants and everything about Plantito and Plantita, dito lang kayo pupunta. So,
yeah. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Sir Popoy, very nice meeting you. Bye. Nice meeting you again. Kalay, very good to see you again after a long time.
Yeah, ang tagal na namin di nagkikita.
Yeah, thank you so much. I hope to see you guys when things are better. Live.
And I look forward to the webinar.
Paghahandaan ni Vince yan.
Thank you.
Thank you for accommodating us.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you also for the first time, and then we just really just wanted to try this out. So thank you, really. I enjoyed it as well.
Yay! It's good to know na nag-enjoy ka at least, diba? Something new. Kasi sa amin din, as Van have mentioned kanina, this is something new na ginagawa namin sa as part of
chapter.
The chapter. So, yeah. it's good to know na people like you want to join us and share a lot of information, not only with us, but to also to a lot of people.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
thank you,
All right.
Vince, ah. Super thank
Thank you
you.
so much. Thank you so much. Step out.
Yeah. Yeah. If kung gusto mo may add pa, okay lang din man. Pero if wala na, okay na.
Wala na.
Thank
Wala.
you, Architect
Okay.
Vince.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Architect Vince.
You guys. See you. Take care. Bye.
See you. Bye.
Bye. Stay safe. All
All
right.
right.
That was a fun episode. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Kasi
Kanina
nag-lowbat yung
may
aking,
delay ka.
yeah, so,
Actually,
ang
ngayon
hirap sa
gabi,
live.
marami tayong problema eh.
Yun
Kanina,
nga eh. Yun talaga.
ang connection drop eh. So for siguro mga a good 5-10 seconds, naka-freeze lang yung mga mukha nyo.
Well, I
So-
hope that our audience was able to learn a lot from Architect Vince and from our topic as well. So yun doon sa gustong mag-start na ng journey of being a plantito and a plantita. And for those who want to incorporate indoor plants or plants in your design, I hope that you were able to learn also from Architect Vince from the information na binigay niya kanina.
Mhm.
Yes, actually, ang call to action ko sa lahat ng designers, architects out there, even interior designers, and even those who are claiming that they can design architecture, you know, don't make plans an afterthought. Kasi that's from my own personal experience. That was the way I designed before. Now I do create plant boxes or a place for them in all of my designs kasi mas moving towards tropical architecture na ako eh. So
Tropical ba? Hindi ba regenerative, sir?
pwede rin. Pwede rin. Actually, sinabi ni kanina gusto ko itanong kay Architect Vince yun eh. Yung mga sinabi ni Architect Yumang before. Pero yung sinabi kasi, pwedeng related, pwedeng unrelated din. Kasi yung kay Architect Yumang naman is on a development process eh. Dun siya nagpo-fall eh. So medyo baka out of topic kay Architect Vincent. Yeah, anyway, yun nga. Don't make your plans an afterthought. A lot of people consider plants in their design pero bumabagsak sa pinapat nila and
Yes.
more than just putting them in pots, nagiging obstruction pa yung halaman eh. As architects, it's our duty to create ample space, adequate spacing of everything. And if that becomes an afterthought, like you said, minsan nagiging obstruction pa yan.
Tama, that's true.
Mm-mm.
So,
Anything else? Kalay,
No.
any thoughts?
Well, ako, gusto ko lang sabihin na after hearing everything, gusto ko na din maging plantita. And now, siguro, ang realization ko dito, ito pala yung dahilan kung bakit hook na hook yung nanay ko sa plants. as in, hindi, pag every morning, pagising niyan, bababa na yan. So, hook na niya sa plants niya. So, now I know why. Kasi ang dami-dami palang benefits talaga. As in,
Totoo.
endless. Ng
Sa
bongga.
akin kasi,
Ako,
hindi ganun ka naging pleasant yung sa nanay ko. Kasi growing up, pinupuno niya yung interiors namin ng plastic plants. So, parang nawala yung concept eh. Okay, sorry.
Okay. Ako, I really started out because gusto ko lang talagang lagyan ng life. Yung parang I noticed last year na parang walang buhay sa loob ng bahay. So, I just really wanted to parang put life again. So, kaya I started out. And plus, remember when we had this webinar with NP Heray last year sa Baroswain about landscape then, I was already thinking about about plants and indoor plants. Sakto, I was watching also parang a show, ano bang pangalan nun? Backyard Envy, something where they do landscaping. So that
Oh,
really got me
oo.
interested. They have a season 2 now, by the way. Yun.
Talaga?
Tapos, so, kaya yun eh. I started out with the plants din na binigay na sinabi ni Architect Vince kanina. I started out with snake plants. I started out with peace lilies. I started out with these plants na they thrive on neglect. And then from then on, I learned my lessons na about water requirements, about light requirements, soil requirements, and pots and everything else. Ang problema ko lang ngayong ECQ since medyo mahirap lumabas. So, alam mo yon yung mga supplies and other plants na gusto ko sanang bilhin, hindi ako makapunta sa plant nursery. There are stores that deliver, kaya lang ako mas therapeutic sa akin na pumunta sa plant nurseries and kumuha ng o bumili ng halaman dun.
That, tanong ko sa'yo, nangangarap na ba yung plants mo? I mean, do you get cuttings?
Yes. Actually, gusto ko sanang tanong kanina ko yun kay Architect Vince kasi I have some pothos here sa bahay. These are neat plants and they crawl and then parang medyo lumago na sila, so I cut them and I was propagating them using water. Kasi I started out propagating using soil pero hindi ako successful sa soil, so I put them on water. Sa water, medyo successful ako eh. Although meron pa ding iba na namamatay pa din kahit pinapropagate on water, pero yung success rate ko mas mataas sa water propagation versus soil. Hindi ko alam kung bakit. I don't know what's with soil. I wanted to go in-depth sana with soil na pero baka maubos yung oras natin or baka abutin tayo hanggang bukas kakadiscuss about soil. Pero the only thing I know about soil is yun nga, it has to be well draining then. It has to be aerated. And parang you cannot just use like this soil na makukuha mo sa backyard mo, pero you have to incorporate other elements then para maging well draining yung soil. Yun.
Actually, ang napulot ko dito ngayon is more on a design aspect. Ang ganda ng thought if by inputting indoor plants. Pero syempre, hindi mo kailangan natin indoor plants in a location in the house where it's dark, where it doesn't receive natural lighting. So I guess that's a good rule of thumb in design to actually design them into all the spaces. That way, all areas of your house have natural light. Diba? So para hindi nagiging walang part ng bahay na nagiging kuweba.
Yes. And low light doesn't mean zero light. Low light is just parang lesser natural light. Pero parang the good indicator for me is there is parang a place where you can still read a book pero hindi siya well lit. Yun.
Actually,
so that's low light.
Problem ko yun with some clients. Parang sila, especially with smaller plots of land, yung mga 80 square or 100 square. Kasi yung ganyan, to some extent, no choice ka kung hindi pa 2 firewalls eh. 1 or 2 firewalls eh. So, yung mga tao, yung mga kliyente minsan, actually, minsan parate, they choose a bigger square meter, a bigger area over ventilation, over lighting, whereas sinasabi ko sa kanila talaga, hindi ko pwedeng magkakwartong walang bintana. Hindi ko pwedeng magkaroon ng kwarto na walang sunlight. Ang depressing nun. Nung nagtuturo nga ako, sinasabi ko, mga second year, third year student, pagtamara lang yan ng white padded wall, tapos mag-spot ka ng straight jacket. Kasi parang walang bintana yan, parang psychiatric ward din. Anyway, so next week ang episode natin will be the significance
of building
of
officials.
officials to a city. And we'll be having our guest, architect Edison Ching Padilla. And
Yes.
I believe he's a resource person and a good person to talk to in terms of what significance he as a building official made in the city. Dahil makikita naman natin sa Plantita City na up and coming talaga and development na.
Okay. And sir, before we end our episode or our run for tonight, I think we just have a couple of announcements from UAP Baraswain. Okay, let me just do this one. Okay. All right. So the UAP Baraswain chapter, this is for all our members. We are offering a crisis aid or a 50% discount on our chapter fee. So instead of 900, tama ba? Instead of 900, you would only be paying 450 pesos. I think this is our response with the pandemic or with the lockdown that we are experiencing right now. So this is an ongoing thing, and this will last until September 15, 2020. So if you pay our chapter fee until September 50, again, you only have to pay 450 instead of 900. Okay, but this is only for our chapter, and this is only for our chapter members. So baka may ibang chapter that has another promo then. So, but this one is for us lang. Now, if you missed the September 15 deadline for our crisis aid, the UAP National is also offering an extension of payment of annual membership due and chapter assessment fee without penalty until December 31, 2020. So let me just clarify, okay? The crisis aid that I mentioned earlier is only for our chapter fee. But if you miss this, the September 15, you can still pay the chapter fee until December 31, but in full payment now, without penalty, of course. All right? Okay. And last,
sabihin ko, in
go ahead,
terms
sir.
of UAP National, yung call ng UAP National for bayanihan to all its members, all UAP members, na should you have a chapter mate who cannot pay for his national dues, and you can cover him, pay for his, pay for several. Kung kaya mo naman, help a brother out.
Yeah, pay it forward. Pay it forward.
Yes. All right, so
yes,
last announcement. Last announcement lang, wala pa ata tayong infographics for this, but of course,
we're finalizing
our chapter, we're finalizing pa, but our chapter, Baraswain chapter, will be having our first GMM for the fiscal year 2020 to 2021 on August 22, 2020. Okay, it will also be an online event through Facebook Live, and you may expect the details on our Facebook page through UAP Baraswain chapter in the coming days. Pero mark your calendars, the first GMM for UAP Baraswain chapter will be on August 22. Time and other details will be posted on Facebook page. Okay? All right.
Are you, Ivan, you have anything else to promote?
Please, while we're at it, please follow, subscribe, like, kung ano man, the Facebook page of Poste. We also have a YouTube. We are also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Tama?
Yes.
Correct.
Yes. So in case you missed the live episode, you can always check out
Google Podcast.
Google Podcast and Anchor. Diba?
Sorry. I thought you said Apple.
Yeah. So yun, if you missed the live episode, of course, you can always tune in, or you can always listen to Spotify, Apple Podcast. You can also play on Facebook.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay, and also like and follow and share the Facebook page of UAP Baraswain chapter for more info, updates, and doon kami nag-a-announce ng lahat about our events. So,
Ang
please
ganaps.
do so. Lahat ng ganap ng bara. So, doon namin i-broadcast lahat. We also have an IG and YouTube as well.
That's right.
Yes.
All right. So, episode 5 of the podcast, a done deal. Next week,
Yep.
we'll be having episode 6, once again, talking about the significance a building official makes to a city. In this episode, we'll be having architect Edson Chimpadilla, the building official of Valenzuela City, to talk with us and to discuss whatever's happening in Valenzuela City, how they came to be, and all the beautiful things they've done. And with that, I bid all of you adieu. Goodbye, Kalay.
Bye. Goodbye,
And-
everyone, and good evening. Good night.
And goodbye, Van.
Good night. So this has been Poste, your online source of information for anything design and construction in the Philippines, in cooperation, of course, with UAT Baraswan. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Bye-bye.